Hello everybody, my name is Ragat. Welcome back my channel Health Fitness 1047. Here is the episode new. Follow me.
Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, today we are diving straight into horror, specifically looking at what you might want to watch for Friday, June 13th, 2025.
Yeah, we've got a couple of sources here. One's from Tech Radar, recommending some slashers that critics like.
Right, and the other.
That one's from Bloody Disgusting, and it lists a whole bunch of new horror movies that are actually dropping today for home release.
Okay, so our goal here is basically to cut through all that and just pull out the highlights, right? Give you a clear idea of what's worth checking out if you're in the mood for a scare this Friday the 13th.
Exactly, and it is Friday the 13th, kind of the classic horror day.
Definitely. And these sources give us some really specific lists, which is helpful.
Plus, it's worth mentioning, this is the only Friday the 13th we get in 2025.
Oh, really? Huh. Makes it feel a bit more special then, doesn't it?
Kind of, yeah. For horror fans, anyway.
And obviously there's tons of horror out there on streaming and VOD all the time, but this date, it shines a light.
Speaking of which, you can't really ignore the Friday the 13th movies themselves on, Friday the 13th.
True, both sources actually point out the original movie is free on Pluto TV.
And Pluto's doing a whole marathon of the franchise today, apparently. All day long.
I mean, if you want that classic slasher experience, that's probably the easiest way to get it.
Absolutely, a solid choice. But let's dig into what these articles recommend beyond the obvious Jason Voorhees stuff.
Okay, let's start with that Tech Radar article. 4 slasher movies, they say, are approved by Rotten Tomatoes critics.
Right. Approved slashers.
So first on their list is Totally Killer. What's the deal with this one?
So this one sounds kind of fun, actually. It's a comedy horror.
Okay.
And it's like a tribute to, 80s slashers, but also those time travel movies from the 80s.
Oh, interesting mix.
Yeah, the idea is there's this Sweet 16 killer who comes back after 35 years. The main character, Jamie, somehow ends up back in 1987.
Whoa, okay.
And she has to try and stop the killer before the original spree, teaming up with her own mom, who's a teenager then.
Time travel, slashers, teaming up with your teen mom. That's a lot.
It is. But critics seem to like it. It's got an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Pretty good.
Runs about 106 minutes. And Tech Radar, they were really glowing about it. Called it a joy to watch. Said it really celebrates everything I love about the genre.
Wow.
Yeah, they even listed it as one of their best Prime Video movies.
Yeah.
And you can watch it there pretty much anywhere.
Okay, that one sounds genuinely fun. What's next on their list?
Next up is You're Next. This one sounds maybe a bit more straightforward, intense.
Yeah, the article calls it action-packed horror, home invasion style.
Right. Family reunion gets crashed by masked killers, and the family has to fight back. Classic setup.
How long is it?
Pretty tight, 94 minutes. And it scored well, too, 80% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
Tech Radar's take was basically pure carnage. They said they loved every single minute.
Huh. Okay, strong words.
Yeah, and they mentioned it's great with a crowd, but, works fine if you're watching alone, too.
Where can you find this one? Seems like it varies a bit.
It does. Peacock in the U.S., might be Rent or Buy in the U.K., and Netflix in Australia, apparently.
Gotcha. Pure carnage. Noted. Okay, third one is Freaky. The article mentions something about its release timing.
Yeah, kind of a clever bit of marketing, they said. They actually came out on a Friday the 13th back in 2020.
Oh, nice touch. What's the genre here?
It's another horror comedy, but this one's got a body swap premise.
Like Freaky Friday, but with horror.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A teenage girl swaps bodies with a middle-aged serial killer.
Oh, wow. Okay, that must have been interesting for the actors.
Totally. The article specifically shouts out Vince Vaughn playing the teenage girl and Catherine Newton as the killer. Calls him brilliant.
I bet. How'd it score?
84% on Rotten Tomatoes. Runtime's 101 minutes. Tech Radar loved it. Said it had very effective kills, but also laugh-out-loud moments.
Sounds like a good balance.
Yeah, they called it a pitch-perfect slasher. And the writer even said it was their favorite from that director.
Where's this one streaming?
Prime Video in the U.S., Rent or Buy in the U.K., and Binge in Australia.
Okay, Freaky. Got it. And the last one from the Tech Radar list.
The last one is a real classic, The Stepfather from 1987.
Yes. Definitely fits the 80s slasher vibe people might be looking for today.
For sure. And the premise is just inherently creepy, right?
Yeah.
Serial killer assumes identities, marries a widow just after killing his last family.
Yeah, very unsettling. ticking time bomb situation.
The article points out how it taps into those, like, domestic fears and anxieties.
Makes sense. How does it rate?
It's the shortest on the list, 89 minutes, but it actually has the highest score, 89% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow, okay.
Tech Radar calls it a nicely paced thrill ride, even a defining movie of the slasher genre, basically saying, don't sleep on this one.
Where can you find The Stepfather?
Prime Video in the US, or this service Cult Picks in the UK and Australia.
Okay, so that Tech Radar list gives us 4 pretty solid, well-regarded slasher options. A mix of old and new, serious and funny.
Definitely. But what if you've seen those, where you just want something brand spanking new?
Right, that's where the Bloody Disgusting article comes in. They listed, 8 new horror movies heading home released specifically today?
8 of them. Yeah, it really shows how this date is still a big deal for horror releases.
Okay, let's run through these quickly then. First up, Best Wishes to All. What's this one about?
This is described as a Japanese nightmare. Sounds intense. It won Scariest Feature at the Overlook Film Festival.
Oh, that's a good sign.
Yeah. Premise is about a young woman visiting her grandparents and finding something unsettling. Makes her confront ideas about happiness and society. It's on Shudder.
Okay. And Bloody Disgusting's take.
They called it Furiously Untamed and said watching it is like gawking at the loss of humanity. So maybe not a light watch.
Yeah, sounds heavy. Okay, what about the other?
This one has a name attached horror fans might know. Jeffrey Reddick, who created Final Destination.
Ooh, okay.
Plot sounds like an adoption story gone wrong. Orphan child, eerie stuff starts happening, an evil force. You know the drill. This one's on VOD.
Gotcha. And sticking with familiar tropes, perhaps, Morgan. Killer Doll.
Yep, sounds like a mockbuster take on the killer doll thing. Lifelike doll starts killing people tied to some dead woman's past. Survivors have to figure it out. Also on VOD outlets.
Okay. Then there's a found footage one, Raw File.
Right. Journalist and a concierge investigate a suspicious suicide. The interesting bit here is a quote from the director in the article.
Oh, yeah. What'd they say?
Basically, that the film proves found footage success isn't just about scares or gimmicks, but needs a strong, well-crafted script and tight narrative.
Putting their money where their mouth is, I guess. Available on VOD, too.
Yep, VOD outlets for that one.
Okay, next is Bark. Psychological thriller.
Yeah, in single location.
Lore.
Guy wakes up tied to a tree, no memory, has to figure out his past to survive. Sounds pretty grim.
Definitely claustrophobic, even outside. Where's Bark?
Available digitally through Dark Sky Films.
All right. How about So Torn? This one sounded unique.
Yeah, described as a darkly comedic thriller. It's the director's first feature film
Okay.
about a mobile seamstress who steals a briefcase from a drug deal and gets tangled up in like a cat and mouse game.
Dark comedy, thriller, seamstress, drug deal. That's a mix.
Right. Bloody Disgusting called it a dizzying display of innovation and style, and, get this, a funny, violent, and genre-influenced cozy crime caper.
Cozy crime caper. Okay. I'm intrigued. VOD for this one, too.
Available on VOD, yeah.
Right. Almost there. The Dogs.
This one's based on a book, a bestseller apparently. Teen and mom escape a psychotic dad, hide out in a farmhouse.
Okay. Sounds rough already.
But then they have to deal with ferocious dogs and sinister spirits at the farmhouse. So, double trouble on VOD outlets.
Yikes. Okay, and the last one on the new release list.
Is The Moor, British folk horror.
Always a creepy subgenre.
Definitely. People searching for a missing friend's body on a haunted moor find something evil instead. Classic folk horror setup. Released today in the U.S. on VOD.
Wow. Okay, so between those 4 recommended slashers and these 8 brand new releases, that is a lot of horror to choose from today.
It really is. You've got, like you said, those critically backed slashers, some classics, some modern, some funny, comfort food horror almost.
Yeah, the known quantities.
And then this whole slate of new stuff covering, well, pretty much everything. Psychological, folk horror, found footage, supernatural stuff, even that weird, dark, comedy, cozy crime thing.
Seriously, it feels like whatever specific horror mood you're in today, there's probably something on one of these lists that fits the bill.
It really highlights how the genre keeps branching out, but still uses a day like Friday the 13th as like an anchor point.
Exactly. So wrapping up this deep dive, it's clear Friday the 13th in 2025 offers a pretty rich menu for horror fans. From those well-regarded slashers to a whole wave of diverse new scary movies you can watch right at home.
Yeah, it's kind of fascinating, isn't it, how this one date just keeps being the focal point, both for looking back at horror history and for launching brand new nightmares out into the world.
It really makes you wonder, What is it about Friday the 13th and about horror movies in general that keeps us coming back? Maybe something to ponder while you decide what to queue up tonight.